Much, and Senator Cruz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Freeman, you disagree with the death penalty, don't you?
Senator, I support the rule of law, and if confirmed, I would apply the
Ms.
rule.
Freeman, that was not the question I asked you. You disagree with the death penalty, don't you?
Senator, if confirmed, I would apply the law regardless of any views that I may or may not have.
So you're hesitating because you're afraid to answer honestly.
Senator, respectfully, my understanding of the code of conduct for United States judges, which applies to judicial nominees, is that I am to refrain from commenting on matters of public policy that may come before me.
Really, this is the same person who submitted a photograph of yourself at a protest at the Philadelphia International Airport, labeled Ariana Freeman, Senator of Philadelphia, cheers and chants with others during a protest to President Donald Trump's executive order banning travel to the U.S. by citizens of Iraq, Iran, Sudan, Libya, Somalia, and Yemen. That's refraining from engaging in public policy?
Senator, I attended that public event in 2017, long before I was a judicial nominee and subject to the code.
Okay, well, the canons don't prohibit you sharing what your views are to this committee, and we have judges appear here all the time. It's not remotely credible that you don't have a view on the death penalty. You've devoted your entire professional career to representing criminals, to representing murderers, to representing rapists, to representing child molesters. You believe the death penalty is wrong. You have been a zealot against the death penalty. Is that true or false?
Senator, I have spent 12 and a half years fulfilling my duty to zealously advocate for the interests of my client, regardless of the sentence. Some of those sentences were death sentences. For the past 8 or so years, I have worked on non-capital cases.
Okay, well, I'll tell you, let's take the case that the Pennsylvania Supreme Court talked about, and Senator Hawley discussed this some. Terrence Williams, one of your clients, had a long list of violent crimes, including armed robbery and another murder, just months before he killed Mr. Amos Norwood. Mr. Williams had separately been convicted of murdering a different victim by stabbing him 20 times in the head, the back, the chest, clean through his neck, before then trying to burn his body. Apparently, this method of murder was one Mr. Williams was fond of, because his second victim, Amos Norwood, he blackmailed him to meet him in a cemetery, where Williams beat Norwood with a tire iron until he died. And then the next night, Williams returned to burn the victim's body. Terrence Williams is a bad guy. When you're faced with a repeat murderer about whom there are no serious questions of guilt, nobody doubts that this guy is a serial murderer. Your choice, you don't feel sympathy for the victims, you don't stand with the victims. Your choice, you've spent your life trying to save that murderer. And listen, here's what the Chief Justice of the Pennsylvania Supreme Court said about your office. Because you keep saying zealously represent, and you're right, everyone is entitled to a defense. But it's not the job of a lawyer to be obstructionist. Is it the job of a lawyer to be obstructionist?
No, Senator.
Well, the Chief Justice of the Pennsylvania Supreme Court describes your office, says the extraordinary shadow capacity of the FCDO, your office, and its demonstrated tactics give me additional pause. Here the Chief Justice continues. Almost invariably without legitimate court appointment, without any Pennsylvania authorities' approval or role of oversight, this private group of federal lawyers pursuing an obstructionist anti-death penalty agenda have essentially anointed themselves a statewide de facto capital defender's office. Common tactics of the FCDO include multiple attempts to delay and obstruct cases, as well as attempts to unsettle and undermine Pennsylvania law. Do you think it's extraordinary that the Chief Justice of the Pennsylvania Supreme Court accuses you and your office of being zealots engaged in an obstructionist anti-death penalty agenda?
I'm not aware of how often something like that occurs, Senator.
Well, I'll tell you, I've practiced law a lot of years. This is extraordinary. And you know, Senator Booker asked, why do you choose to do this? I actually think Senator Booker's question was a great.
Senator Ted Cruz confronts judicial nominee Ariana Freeman in a fiery Senate Judiciary Committee exchange over her stance on the death penalty and her past work defending convicted murderers. Cruz challenges Freeman's record, citing her previous advocacy work and a controversial case involving a brutal double murderer. The intense back and forth reveals the deep divide over justice, punishment, and the role of ideology in the judiciary.
Senator Booker asked, why do you choose to do this? I actually think Senator Booker's question was a great question. You said you care about public service. He rightly pointed out, well, you could have been a prosecutor. Many of us on both sides of the aisle have been prosecutors. You didn't want to be a prosecutor. You wanted to stand with the criminals because, as the Chief Justice has said, your office is engaged in a zealotry, in an agenda against the death penalty, game playing. And, you know, Senator Booker said, well, it's bad for your career to be a public defender. That actually is not the case. If you look at Joe Biden, last night Joe Biden said we shouldn't abolish the police, and all the Democrats stood and applauded. But interestingly enough, Joe Biden keeps nominating some of the leading advocates for abolishing the police to senior positions in the Department of Justice, and every Senate Democrat confirms them. Joe Biden keeps nominating DAs who refuse to prosecute violent crime to be federal prosecutors, and every Democrat votes to confirm them. And Ms. Freeman, you should feel comfortable. No matter how much your office has been called out for being anti-death penalty zealots, siding with capital murderers and ignoring the law, every Democrat on this committee is going to vote to confirm you. But I will tell you, this is a three-pronged strategy from the Democrats to abolish the police. Putting prosecutors in place who don't follow the law, putting judges in place who don't follow the law. And there's a reason we see crime rates and murder rates and carjacking rates skyrocketing across this country. Because the job of a judge is to follow the law, not to be a zealot pursuing a political agenda.
Senator's time has expired. I want to thank this panel for appearing before the Senate Judiciary Committee today. There may be written questions coming your way, which we hope you can respond to in a timely manner.
If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, comment, and hit the subscriber button for more Political Showdown.